Good morning and welcome to the Daily Huddle. Sue Roscoff is here. Tara's here. Gio, we're going to have a blast. Today's context question is around blind spots, and none other than our good friend, the co-founder of the Daily Huddle, and my business partner, Giovanni Gonzalez, is going to lead us in a conversation to identify the 3 blind spots that entrepreneurs must address if you are to expand your leadership. So, Giovanni, how are you, my friend?
Good morning, Saurel. We're going to dance in a conversation, Saurel.
Which dance do you want to do? You want to do salsa, bachata?
I like the elegance of tango.
Tango? Well, you and I can tango for sure.
Yes. Yes.
So let's take the first step. When you say blind spot, Gio, when we say blind spot, what do we actually mean?
Good morning, Saurel. Thank you. I'm so excited, first of all, about being in the Daily Huddle, and creating a conversation with all of you. And I'm excited to see Tara and Stan and Cece and everybody. Sue, this is so great. So blind spots. Let's talk about blind spots. I think one of the greatest insights and what we call in our industry distinctions is to realize for oneself that we all have blind spots at any point in our lives, and what that is normally referred to is like if you're driving a car, Saurel, and you're going in a particular direction in the highway, and when you're driving and you're in the driving seat, that there are many times you have a car right next to you, but you can't quite see it, but you know that there could be a car there, but that car is in your blind spot. So cars develop technology so that through technology that you have a car right next to you, right? And we have
even though you can't see it.
Even though you can't see it. So Tesla uses satellites, and if you drive a Tesla, you can actually see the car there, but you can't see it with your eyes, right? So one has blind spots when you're driving, but in life or in leadership and in communication, it's very useful to see oneself or to know for oneself that I have blind spots in the way I lead my life. I have blind spots in the way I communicate with others. Even though I know where I'm going, even though I'm committed, even though I know the people I'm working with, even though I have the right intentions, even though all the things could be looking in the right way, and I have all my dots crossed, if you will, there are blind spots I have in the manner in which I communicate, in the manner in which I lead people, in the manner in which, I share my vision with others, delegate. That we have blind spots in communication constantly. And it's very useful to know that.
Yeah, Gio. And for me, mine blind spots, and I'm speaking for myself, and I'm wondering, it may be the same way for other people. When I have a blind spot, I'm so blind to it that I'm kind of arrogant. And if somebody points the blind spot out, I go, no, I don't have a blind spot.
You have a blind spot.
Yes, I don't have a blind spot. What are you talking? Which blind spot are you talking about? And I think that's what makes it dangerous in management, leadership, and entrepreneurship, that when I am blind to my blind spot, I actually behave as if I don't have blind spots, and I do. So this conversation is really to begin to consider for myself, and I'm inviting others to do the same, to consider that being a human being, it comes with the package. If you are a human being, you have blind spots. And in leading, it's essential that someone else, like the satellites that Tesla have, right? Be generous enough to point my blind spots to me, and I get to be open to simply consider them and see what opens up in terms of my effectiveness. when I'm now operating with the knowledge that I do have blind spots, and here's the impact that can have if I don't address them. So what are the 3 blind spots? Let's start with the first one, Gio.
Yeah, Saurel, I wanna show a quick. I want to share my screen real quickly, Saurel,
Yeah.
just to open up the opportunity of just to open up this conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is something that has this little image I'm going to show has kind of really helped me open up to this possibility of blind spots. And so normally when I want something in life, when people want something in life, we create goals. And most of us on this call, we have goals for ourselves from that normally we have at the beginning of the year that you want to achieve by the end of the year. Or if someone is in business and it's a little savvy, then you have quarterly goals, right? And we wish that when we are growing in business, we wish that we have our goal here, we start here, and we wish that we would grow in this direction. We wish that we don't have any upside downs, right? We're not going to go backwards. We're just going to grow incrementally without any issues. That's what we expect, and that's what we hope, and that's what we pray for, right? And so this is what we hope it would happen. But what actually happens is this curve. This is what actually happens. So rather than growing incrementally, we actually, as we take actions, none of the actions that we take normally at the beginning gets us any results that we can see. So there is a point when we take sufficient actions, Saurel, that we start getting the results what we're looking for. But what people mostly deal with, and this is one of the blind spots, Saurel, what most people deal with is that in that valley of the unfulfilled expectations of growth, people fall into this world of deception, or the valley of deception, or disappointment, if you will, the valley of disappointment. And so in the valley of disappointment, there is this whole world that people deal with. It's an internal collapse of disappointment when people are trying to grow. And in that internal collapse, people normally don't talk about it. Most people are positive and they say, well, it's okay. That's how life is. I'm just growing, etc. But we kind of become resigned, if you will, and we continue to do the same things without really creating some creativity or really actually moving in a different direction or asking for mentorship or anything. We just kind of get more and more, we get closer and closer to this very small comfort zone that doesn't allow us to grow. And so these 3 blind spots that we want to talk about today is to hopefully allows for those of us who are on this call, and for those of you who are on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, right? And share that. Hopefully it allows us to expand the box so that we can start getting out of our comfort zone and really try new things. And so here's the first blind spot in communication.
Jill, hang on one second. I mean, this is so cool. I love the picture you just showed, right? And I just want to say something about it to confirm and maybe cement this aspect of being a human being. It is so that when I'm taking actions in life towards achieving a goal that's important to me, that the actions I take today don't actually show up as results today.
It's critical to discover that, yeah.
Yeah, and when I don't see results, I tend to want to quit. Mm-hmm. And this is sounding the alarm, saying, keep taking actions. The results of the actions you take today may not show up for another 6 months. Keep taking actions. Thank you for that, Gio.
Yes, and normally the actions don't show up for about 3 to 5 months, but we no longer recollect what happened. But most of us quit too soon and don't learn from the results. So then we continue to start new things, new strategies, if you will, but not in this valley of deception or disappointment. We don't quite become strategic in our growth.
Mm.
And then most people don't grow their businesses, or most people don't grow outside of their small, or not the small. I don't want to say there's a big or a small, but they don't grow outside of where they actually want to go.
Yeah.
So here comes the blind spots for leadership, right? For communication. When I say leadership, I mean communication, because communication is what leadership is. It's how to communicate effectively. So I like what, I don't know who said this to me, Saurel, a long time ago, but if you want to reach to 6 figures, work really hard. If you want to reach to 7 figures, slow down and get a team, right? So if you want to reach to 6 figures, work really hard. And anyone here in the US can get to 6 figures by yourself. But if you want to get to 7 figures or maybe $500,000, just slow down and get a team, right? So this conversation we're going to have is to slow down and get a team, right? Slow down and get a team. This is not about working hard. This is about slowing down and get a team. But most people can't have a team. And this is why. Here comes the first blind spot. Your ability to communicate effectively your ability to communicate effectively does not increase by what you say, but by how you hear. So I'll say the first blind spot, right? This is for us to slow down and get a team. Your ability to communicate effectively does not increase by what you say, but by how you hear. So we want to dismantle this real quick, right? Most of us, or at least for myself, for many years, when I was thinking of communicating effectively, Saurel, I was thinking that there was some way I needed to learn to communicate. There was some way that I needed to convey my ideas so that they actually land on another. And there was some kind of characteristic I needed to have, like I needed to expand myself, or I needed to be this persona, and I needed to have, I don't know, Saurel, like this attractive personality so that
Be more charismatic, right?
Charismatic and be funny and slow down so that I can grab people's attention. And all these things, right? And it's not that they're not valid, but what makes someone, and this is the blind spot, I know I'm going to get some pushback, but this is the blind spot, but what makes someone effective at communicating is not what you say, and it's not how loud you say it, but how you hear others. How you hear others. This is in the context of creating a team for yourself. It's how you hear others. How are you listening to others? And I say this is a blind spot because most of us, when we're creating a team or when we are leading others, we don't quite often ask ourselves, how do I hear people? How do I listen to people? Right? Do I hear them as someone capable, or do I hear them as someone who they're small and they can't do it? Or how do I listen to people as there are people who are committed, or do I hear them as someone who are just wasting my time? So I gotta start paying attention to what's my filter that I have of people.
Yeah. And the thing I'm hearing you say, Gio, it sounds like this to me, that the way I hear people and the filter I have for them, inevitably they end up showing up in life when they're interacting with me just the way I see them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so this is a little abstract, so this is difficult to grasp, but we want to get closer to what Saurel was pointing to. If Saurel sees me as someone, right now, if Saurel was talking to me and he would see me as someone who, I don't know, he doesn't know what he's talking about, you know? And so his demeanor will be that way. He will close his arms, you know, he would have all this way of being as he's listening to me. And then in that way of being, I will start showing up that way. I will start resisting him. I would start not paying attention to what he's saying. We will not be aligned in our communication. And so neither of us will be aligned. So neither of us know what we're talking about anymore. It didn't matter anymore because of our listening. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah.
Completely. So don't go to the dictionary to find new words. It's not about speaking clearly. It's about listening in a way that creates the space inside of which the conversation is happening. So leadership happens in my listening.
Leadership happens in your listening. Effective leadership happens in your listening, right? A
Yeah.
lot of times when we're coaching departments and organizations, one of the things that we deal with is like, well, this department doesn't really get along with this other department. But it's not like that. It's not like departments don't get along with departments. It's people. People don't talk to people, So it's like, so we ask one person, so what is it about them? And then they would say, naturally, they would say, well, they don't really care about what we do. See, that's the filter. You see right there, that's the filter. Oh, so you listen to them as if they're people who don't care. And they're like, yeah. Well, then they end up showing up that way. But it's not that they don't care. It's that they're showing up that way because of my filter. So, because of their filter, right? So that's the first blind spot. Your ability to communicate effectively increases not by what you say, but how you listen. But by how you listen. Let's go to number 2. This is a real big blind spot. Listen up. Perhaps it is not what we know or what we lack to know that limits our leadership or our potential or what's possible, but our relationship to what we know. So I'm going to say it again. Perhaps it is not what we know or what we lack to know that limits our leadership, our ability to communicate effectively, but our relationship with what we know. So when we are in life and at work, our brain tends to want to know more, or I need to know more about something in order to communicate effectively or to have credibility. Perhaps it's not that. Perhaps it's not more knowledge. More knowledge doesn't give you a person access to become a better leader. Perhaps it's your relationship to what you already know. So let's talk about in the context of family. Let's talk, for those of you who have children, right? Do you really need to know your children a little bit more so that you can have a better relationship with them? So I really need to go out more with them. I need to get to know them more. So if we go into this scavenger hunt of trying to get someone more, it may not get us anywhere in the context of strengthening the relationship. Perhaps it's about disabusing oneself from knowing that person. Maybe I don't need to know them anymore. Maybe I need to unknow them. I don't need to know them anymore. Maybe what I already know about that person is limiting my relationship with that person. Maybe I have framed my relationship with someone in such a way because of what I know that it doesn't allow the relationship to grow. It doesn't allow the relationship to get to strengthen. So every now and then, when we're in our courses, I bring couples, and like I want the oldest couple in the room, someone who's been married for 30 years, right, or 40 years. I bring them in front of the room, and I can tell the weight of our relationship. There's a lot of things that has happened, and it's been 30 years, it's been 40 years, and then I ask, so would you be interested in knowing how to strengthen your relationship? And they all say, yes, yeah, I would like to strengthen my relationship, right? And then I said, okay, so what would you say is missing to strengthen the relationship? And then the person, often people say, well, I need to get to know them a little bit more because we're in a different place in life. And then they often say, oh, I need to listen a little more, right? And they often say that. And then the conversation usually tends to go into, I need to know them, know where they're at. And then I ask, do you really need to know them? How long you have been dating? And they're like, oh my God, 30 years, 40 years. So do you really need to know them more? Is it more knowledge that's going to do it? And eventually if I push enough, they're like, no, it's not going to be more knowledge. So what would it be? And they once they discover for themselves, I need to unknow them. I need to stop knowing them. If I could stop knowing them, I can reinvent the relationship. Then anything is possible. And you would see it's a couple, 40 years, 30 years, being in a relationship, all of a sudden seeing themselves, this huge window opens up for them. Like, oh my gosh, let's go into this journey of unknowing ourselves. But, not just unknowing the person I'm with. I want to unknow who I am. I want to stop knowing myself. I don't want to know myself anymore. Maybe knowing myself limits me.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to consider it's the same way for the business, for the person you're working with. There's this dance, there's this tango of knowledge and unknowing, which is really cool.
Yeah,
so
and
that's what I want to say about
it
that.
sounds as if it's impossible to do, Gio, like to unknow somebody, to unknow myself. So I'm thinking maybe the act of unknowing looks like this. I look for what I already know, and I put it to the side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's simple. I don't want what I know to get in the way of my
Yeah.
relationship with someone or my ability to see my business. Wherever I have a limitation in my business, I know it comes from the way I know the business. I need to find a way to unknow that so
Yeah.
that something else can be created.
Perfect. So what's the
business.
third one? And then we're going to take some questions.
Okay, the third one is a huge one, but we're just going to point to it. The third one it's a big blind spot, and most people are looking into the future. Most people look into the future for the possibility of creating the future, but the future is unknown. There's nothing really out there in the future other than a predictability, patterns, but there's not really one doesn't really know what's possible in the future. No one knows. Things are predictable, but there's no future out there. All we got is really the present moment. But the future is filled with possibilities. But for most of us, the future is filled with the past, with people's past. And that's a big blind spot. Most people, and I'm speaking for myself, right? For human beings, we're constantly trying to build a future by fixing the past. And that's going to take something. That's really going to take something. So there is a way in which one can go to the future that doesn't exist, and create the future without the weight of the past. And there's strategic thinking, engineering thinking, and we're not going to talk about that right now, but that would be the third blind spot. Most people try to build the future by fixing the past. And that's really a big blind spot. That takes a long time to create, a very, very, very long time to create, or maybe one would never do it, being that most people are afraid of repeating the past. So that's the third blind spot.
3 blind spots. First one, you don't communicate by speaking. You communicate by listening. Effective communication is in our listening. And number 2 is what you know will kill you. Unknow yourself, unknow others. And last but not least, well, give it up. You'll never fix the past. And you can spend an entire life trying to do that and lose your entire life. Florence, what you got? No, it's not Florence, it's Michelle.
Oh, good morning, Daily Huddle family. Gio, thank you, Saurel. Oh, this is good. And I like the fact that these blind spots can work for families and relationships as well as business. And what I would like to speak on, what stood out for me, was reinventing yourself. In terms of relationship, I once heard it said that meet the person that you think you know as if for the first time. So even though I might say, oh, I've known you for 50 years and I know how he is, or I know how she is, but that's really doing a disservice for the relationship, because we're constantly growing, evolving, changing. So when you say that, well, yeah, that's how she is, I know how she is, I know how she's going to respond, that's how she is, when you really don't, because just as our body changes and the cells are coming in new, so is each person. So you have to meet them as if for the first time. And I think we have to also work on rediscovering ourselves. And Mastermind Laura always talks about giving ourselves grace. And I think it's in giving ourselves grace, we allow ourselves to rediscover and rebirth ourselves anew all the time. I am complete.
Michelle.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Michelle. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Florence.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for the conversation. And it's just a question. I mean, I did put something in the chat about curious. Does that describe staying curious like little kids? Does that really describe trying to unknow people or get to know them? Does that describe it? Curious.
Yeah, that's
being curious.
Yeah, being curious does describe it. One of my favorite quotes from Albert Einstein, he says, I'm not particularly smart or smarter than anyone. I have a passion for curiosity. And I think that has been one of the quotes that have really uplifted me when I get stuck in something. I'm looking to, in business and in my personal life, I'm looking to continue to look at something in as many angles as I can, because I don't want to get stuck with certainty. Certainty often limits the possibility of something. So I want to continue to be curious and discover what I'm seeing, right? And I've noticed that when we are coaching or when we are leading a project, the more we can create a space for people to be curious of what they're already certain or what they are committed to, is when unpredictable, unprecedented results happen. And certainly in personal life, certainly in relationships, how do I, what I think Florence was pointing to, how do I rediscover Tara? How do I see Tara newly? How do I start seeing her newly? I don't want to know her. I want to discover her. Yeah, so it is curiosity. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Gio. Just quickly, I'm discovering in what you're saying, Gio, that when I say being curious, I kind of go to the definition of the word, and then I'm like, well, I don't know how to be curious. And I'm discovering in this conversation that being curious could be a practice, right? The practice of seeing what I already know, acknowledging it, and leaving it right where it is. So, like, I have to give myself the permission to actually acknowledge what I already know, and that I'm actually relating to it as if it's the truth. And maybe that's the practice of being curious. Laura.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Saurel, and thanks for the shares. And thanks, Mastermind Michelle. Yes, we have to give ourselves and others grace. The same way we are evolving and changing in our lives is the same way others are. And we meet them and accept them where they are. I had issues, of course, with creating and building relationships. And I knew I once read where an author states that when a person shows you who they are, believe them. But I now know that, yes, I have to be patient in allowing others to grow and to reach them and accept them where they are. And curiosity is my second name. I've learned to be curious since I was 6 years old. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Complete.
Thank you, Laura. And it's a big lie that curiosity kills the cat, okay?
It certainly does.
Shiva, you had your hand up.
Hi, good morning. Oh my God, this is so good and timely, and I know we're out of time, so I'm gonna practice being razor, okay? Oh my God. So first off, thank you for this topic. I'm like over here like, okay, God, it's like the gods that be are talking through you all. So first off, something that really jumped out to me where you all were even talking about like the unknowing of yourself, of having to put yourself to the side. And that is I have a question around, because something that I've been dealing with. So as I expand and grow inside of my path and my brand, all of this stuff is coming through me, and my identity, past personality is like, yeah, but that's not you. But I'm like, no, it is me. And then it's like, no, but that's not you. So if you have any advice or feedback of how to deal with, like, I've got a whole bunch of years of what I know about myself, and I know in my heart I have to put certain things to the side to move forward. And it's hard. It's so hard. So I'd love to get you all's advice or feedback around that.
Yeah, that's a big question, Shiva. That's the question. That's another. So, but I'll say this, yeah, that's like a whole mastermind.
A whole master class or something.
That's a mastermind. That's a 6-month program right there. But
Thank
what I
you,
would say,
Tara.
what I would say is, Shiva, it's the core of who you are. It won't move. So there is a way to express the core of who you are in your brand, and that is I think branding for me, and when we expand our clients in their branding, we look for them to get to the core of who they are, and then have that be on speaker. So the core of who you are is very big, it's vast, it's like space, it's huge, it's the universe, it's the core of who you are. So the more you get to your center, it doesn't become smaller, you become bigger. And however it is that you are, for example, I'm going to go to extremes. Let's say you are someone who loves the library and wants to always wear glasses and always have a book in front of you as you brand yourself. That's a huge thing to say, and there's a lot we can do, or there's a lot you can do. Or you love tattoos, and you have tattoos on your neck and your arms and your everywhere you are. That's your expression of yourself. There's a lot to create on that. So it's about getting to you and then maximize you, right? That's in the context of branding. It's not about limiting you. It's about getting to that core of you. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that question, Shiva. Gio, we'll take one last one. Dina's new here. I haven't seen Dina, and she's had something to say. So Dina, go for it.
Hi. So I just wanted to say that there is a type of therapy called IFS, Internal Family Systems, that talks about your parts and things like that. And it's kind of geared towards being curious about like different like urges you might have. So like whether it's, addictions or like alcoholism or drugs or anything like that. And it's just like being curious about like what that part needs. So like maybe you're struggling with suicidal ideation or self-harm or whatever. And so like instead of judging that part, you're curious about it. Like, what is this part asking from me? Because you're not wanting to give into that urge. You're wanting to be curious and find out why you're having it.
Yeah, it's powerful practice, Dina. Thank you for bringing that up. It's a really powerful practice to see anything that one is dealing with as an opportunity to rediscover it rather than to label it. That's really great. Thank you, Dina.
Awesome. Gio, I love this conversation. I love to dance with you in it. And what's the last thing you want to say about this aspect of the conversation today?
The last thing I want to say about this aspect of the conversation is, Saurel, I can't say the last thing I want to say about this aspect, but I want to say this. What I want to say is I was very present to the Daily Huddle family and how much it has grown and how much it has helped me grow and how much it has helped me over the last 3 years. And I really want to thank all of you for being part of this family. Thank you, Stan, for being here. Thank you, Peter and Laura and Kurt and Cece and Dr. DJ and Harumi and all of you who I'm not mentioning. Thank you for being part of this family, because I do get to hear the Daily Huddle daily, whether I'm here or not. And my expression of myself, the highest expression of myself has become as a result of the Daily Huddle. So I wanted to say that.
That's perfect, Joe. That's perfect. And you could say, and I'm just going to stand on your shoulders and say, my ability to love the way I do now, I attribute to my participation and the way this family feeds me. So thank you. My ability to stress less, my ability to eat mostly plant-based, to start and stay a year only plant-based, and then to say, you know what, I'm going to have a hamburger and be okay with myself, is a function of being a member of this family. So thank you for that. And so go forth, have a great weekend, continue to live a giving life, continue to live the kind of life that leaves you fulfilled and the people in your life seen, heard, and loved and appreciated. Continue to get rest, move your body, and last but not least, check your assumptions, because what you know may not be the truth you think it is. I love you. Giovanni loves you more. This is the Daily Huddle. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Join us every day. Every morning, we're here from 9 a.m. to somewhere between 9:30 and 9:40. We'll do better at that. I love you. I will see you on Monday. Make it a great weekend.
Share.
Family. Take care, family.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Ciao.
Thank you.